Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Decide to Heal. Today is a day that we, both Lisa and I, have been waiting for several weeks now, and we've run into all sorts of technology issues and challenges with getting here. So we know how important this episode is, not only for you, Lisa, but for those who are listening and tuning in. And, we're going to be talking about something that has been on Lisa's heart for a while. And I know it's something that you're all going to be able to connect with because it's about marriage. And if you're in a relationship, it's challenging. It's not all cherries and roses and blossoms all the time. It's pretty challenging when you're in a partnership, a long-term partnership. The love can be there, but liking someone is maybe a challenge sometimes. I often talk about my husband and I and how, I love him, but I also like him. And vice versa. And that's a hard thing to get to. And we have definitely been in the trenches. So I am so excited to be here with you, Lisa, and get to support you through what it is you're going through. And then we can help our audience too. So do you want to share anything before we jump in here?
Well, just I've been really making some progress, but I think I'm at a standstill. So I'd like to try to move a little further. He's tough and he doesn't give me any leeway, but the more I try, I think maybe I could get through to him. So with your help and, with us doing this together and God, then we could figure this out.
We can do anything. We can do all things. That's right. Okay. So tell us about the progress you've already had. So you mentioned you have some progress already that you've had. So tell me what that is, Lisa.
Well, I'm trying to, I had my big speaking moment in the moment, and that kind of went okay, but he really didn't hear what I had to say. So then we stopped. Then I went back to try to do like the little in the moments, telling him how I feel. And, I say, I hear what you say, but sometimes I don't think you hear what I say. And he drinks. So I have to get him at a good time. And he had surgeries, his shoulder, and he had seizures and he can't drive. So he's in a bad way. So it's just hard, but, I think I'm trying to make progress, but then I don't feel like I'm making any progress because I don't think, he started drinking again, or he had a couple drinks. Because I say, I hear what you're saying, you want to stop, but then I see you're not. And then I tell you that I can't do this with you keep wanting to and not. And I'm telling you what I'm saying, but I don't think you're hearing me or you don't believe me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for that. So let's go back for a minute and talk about the big speaking truth that you had with him. So would you share what that was? And I remember you kind of shared with me earlier, but let me hear it again. What was that big speaking truth about?
Well, I told him that I loved him and I can't live with how we're going. Like he said he was going to stop drinking. And when we first met 20 years ago, everything was going to change and nothing has changed. And we kept going to this 180 and going around and around. And, then when he had the seizure, what?
You were doing a 360.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
360. Yeah,
yep.
360.
Yeah.
Then when he started drinking and he had these seizures, he had to stop. So I thought this was a good thing. And I thought this was like our big moment that maybe this was a sign, that if you stop, maybe we could go further and be grateful that nothing really bad other than he had bad shoulder and compression fractures and stuff. And he had these seizures that he didn't die.
Yeah.
But again, he's just not seeing that drinking is a bad thing. And I can't do it forever.
Yeah. No.
Somebody that just keeps doing this.
So what does that mean when you're saying, I just can't keep doing this forever with someone that's doing this? Like, let's define what this is. What's the this?
Well, not respecting my wishes or my feelings, that it's just not good. Like, it's unhealthy. And like, I did stop drinking because my father is a functioning alcoholic. And I just did. And you know what? I don't even miss it. And I know some people can't do that. But, it changes his mood. It changes the whole tenseness around everything, like our lives. And just going home to work, I hate even going home. So when he wasn't drinking before, it was kind of good. And then the first day I gave him the keys to go use the truck with our neighbor to go pick up something, he went 5 minutes down the road to get a couple beers. And I said, now I can't trust you again, because I thought we did 4 months ahead. Now we're back to 1 month, we're back to where we were. So I don't.
Let's come back for a second, because we're defining what the this is. So
Okay.
Can you come back to that, Lisa, and share just more specifically what I want you to be able to define the this? Because when you're speaking in general terms, you're not really looking at what exactly is the issue here. So that's why I want to define what the this is.
I'd like to find that too.
Good.
The this is, like, I love him, but that I can't, I'm just not happy with him being the way he is, with drinking and not respecting me. And then he says, I don't respect him. But like, I try to listen to him.
So hold on, before you keep going down that path. Do you have paper with you, by the way?
Yes.
Good. So I want you to write down this, what the this is. We're defining the this.
Okay.
Okay, and I want you to write down what you just said. You love him, but you can't, or you're not happy with the way that he is. So go ahead and write that down.
Not happy with him this way.
Yep. Okay. Then you also started to say that the this is about not being respected or not feeling like you're respected.
Like I'm being heard. Okay.
Yeah, and that's another one, not being heard.
Okay.
Good. Anything else that this is?
I'm not happy with him this way. I'm not being, and I want to live the next 20 years like I'm 60. You don't get to reinvent the wheel. I only have 20 more years. So if I can't be happy and we can't figure this out, like I want to figure this out. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the drinking is a problem. So the drinking is a problem, right? So you have to stop drinking.
Well,
right.
Let's talk about that, because you're asking a really important question. Before we do that, anything that this is, anything else?
Well, do you think them two big things? I mean,
nope, that's good. I was just curious if there's anything else for you.
I mean, I'm a worker. I go to work every day. He's a worker. He works. We do two opposites. He works with animals. I work with people, and he can't work with people. Yeah. He's not a people person. So, so the only person he can't get along with is me.
Yeah.
So
Wait, the only person he can't or can get along with is you?
Well, I'm the only person he deals with, and he can't get along with me. He says he's not a people person. Well, I'm the only person that he deals with other than the animals and the people that own the animals, but he doesn't really deal with them much.
Yeah. So you asked an important question, which is, what is the problem? Now you're honing in on the problem being the drinking, which obviously, yeah, when there's someone in the relationship has a particular addiction, regardless of what the addiction is, alcohol, sex, porn, shopping, eating, it could be anything. It does pose a problem, because it's like the third person in the relationship or the third thing in the relationship. But here's the thing. If that's really the problem, where does that leave you? If the drinking is genuinely the problem, where does that leave you?
Well, then if I don't like it, then I can't stay, right?
Well, okay. Well, you're going somewhere. Yes, I hear what you're saying. But think about my question here. If the drinking is genuinely the problem, what does that make you in relationship to the drinking?
what does that make me?
I know it's an
Um,
odd question, but just go with it. See what comes
um,
up.
it makes me the bad guy.
Good. Yeah. What else?
I'm
And well, hold on a second. When you say the bad guy, are you the bad guy or is the drinking the bad guy?
well,
Is
the drinking
alcohol
is
the
the
bad
bad
guy? The alcohol is
alcohol's
the
the
bad
bad guy.
guy.
But when I
So
bring it up, I then bring out the bad guy in him because I'm always harping on him on it.
exactly. So really the drinking is the villain in your story right now. So if drinking is the problem and drinking is the villain, then that makes, in relationship to that, what does it make you? If that's the villain, then it makes you
The I've heard this before, but I don't know the word.
ready?
Yeah,
Victim.
the victim. Oh, so I'm the victim?
Think about that for a second. Like let that sit for a minute here, Lisa, because if really drinking is the problem, then you're always going to fall the victim to the drinking problem. There's like, because it's not you with the problem, it's him. And he isn't choosing or really deciding to quit.
Even though he says he is.
Even though he says he is. So it's like you're sucked into that promise of like, oh, well, now he says he's going to do it. I've spoken my truth and I really shared with him, like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And yet he still drinks. So it's like, do you see how you keep falling into that victim role? And that's where your 360 cycle is. It's almost like you're not taking the power here. You're giving it away to the drinking.
Okay, so how do I do that? How do I take back my power?
Good. Good question. Before I answer that, how's this landing? What's coming up?
Well, I could see that that's what's happening, even
How
though
does
I
it
didn't.
feel?
Well, I don't want to be the victim. And
Yeah.
like,
I
I
don't know.
feel like,
I don't know who does, right? Like none of us want to play the victim or be the victim. Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know how to fix it or how to go about, like, I've been trying all different ways.
Yeah. We need to identify what the real problem is. That's the first thing of you not playing the victim. So if it's not the drinking, even if you're going to guess right now, what do you think the real problem is? And just take some guesses, Lisa.
Well, he says I'm not happy. He
Okay.
said I left years ago, like meaning I haven't been around, but because it never changed. So I just kept going on with everything I'm doing because now I have my father who's 95, and you know that story. He's not well. So I go from work to my father to home, and I just keep doing it. So then when he gets me aggravated, then I go to work, then I come home and I go to my father. So maybe I'm not happy,
Mhm.
but I know I'm not happy. So that's why I keep trying to fix it.
Here's the thing with, and I totally get that completely. And again, it's part of the 360. So no, you're not happy in that. But trying to fix the part that's not really the part that needs to be fixed, it's a lose-lose situation. Do you follow me there? Like
Okay, what part doesn't need to be fixed?
you're trying to fix the drinking in him instead of
Yeah.
really addressing you.
Okay, yeah, I want to address me. I
Yeah.
want to let him do his own thing and whatever that happens and let me do my thing. And then if we could get together, that'd be good, right?
Well, yes, in a sense, yes. Um, this is where it's hard because if you're saying I'm not happy with him because of his drinking, that kind of leaves only one solution.
To leave.
Right. And is that what you want to do?
I want him to stop so he'll pick me so I don't have to leave.
There you go.
So I want to pick me,
Yes.
but I can't make him, right? So how do I tell him that?
Yeah. So hold on a
Tell him
second.
that he's got to pick me.
Something important is happening right now. You're feeling the emotion. You're acknowledging the truth right now of what the real problem is.
Okay, I want him to pick me.
Yes.
All right.
So sit in that for a second, because this is where your breakthrough is. And I know it's not fun to sit here. We're not going to camp
No,
out.
I know, but no, I have to do this, or I have to just get to the next place.
Exactly. And part of that is just allowing yourself to feel what's coming up when you acknowledge the truth. You want him to pick you.
Is he going to do that?
Great question. I don't know.
Yep. Either.
Here's something that, and I want you to keep feeling and expressing your emotions as I share this, okay? So don't shut that down. Keep just kind of stay present to that and keep expressing the emotion. It's very important, right? Because that's part of healing is being able to express those emotions. So part of what I've seen with all the couples that I've coached is that the thing that hurts the most for you is the thing that's hurting the most for the other person. And it's been very fascinating to watch that unfold as like because we do together coaching and then we do calls that are separate too. And so in the separate calls, what I'm hearing is exactly the same thing the other person is saying is what's hurting them. And so again, it's just fascinating that both feel the same way and they're holding each other captive in different ways. But
Like he wants me to pick him?
he wants you to pick him. Yes. And the reason why that came up, Lisa, is something you said just a minute ago. He said, I left long ago, or I left a long time ago. That's important. Did you pick up on that at all when he shared that with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
In what way, though? What did you pick out of it?
That, well, that I don't know. Like I just got so sick of it way back then, but I'm still here doing what I'm doing. And I want to get back to there, but it's hard. Like I don't know how to do that. But he's not helping me do it. So I can't do it by myself.
And that's on him. For you to be able to get back to where you are, there are some things that need to happen and some healing that can occur that can help you get back there. Because honestly, the happy part, like, okay, great, you're not happy. And this happens a lot in relationships. I'm not happy, they're not happy, so we're just going to leave. But then you get into another relationship or you're alone and you're still not happy. It's like happiness is this thing that's fleeting and it's not going to come from someone else. It comes from you and your relationship with God. And the more you can put into that relationship with yourself and God, the more the relationship with him will start to change. And because you'll find you're happy, that grounded, rooted place of genuine joy that is long lasting, Lisa, that's not a fleeting thing based on circumstance.
And I've been doing that. And I pray to God and I've been doing this course and it's fabulous.
Yep.
I'm just so happy. But then that part is still there that
Yep.
when I go home, like when I'm not there, I'm happy.
I hear you. So let's talk about getting to that happy place within your relationship. And it comes back to he felt like you already left him. So he wants you to choose him and you want him to choose you.
Should I tell him that?
So much of healing can come through an acknowledgement. But sharing with him has nothing to do with if he stops or doesn't. I'm going to go back to the big speaking truth that you did. And for our listeners too, who don't know what's entailed in a big speaking truth. So the three things, Lisa, right, in a big speaking truth are: one, you say it in the I form because it's your truth. So you're saying I, me, my, mine. You're taking ownership rather than placing blame on the other person, and then having no expectation. And it's this third one that's the hardest. And I think it's this third one that caused a lot of the maybe cycling back into the 360 since you did this big speaking truth. Because what you did was beautiful. You finally shared with him, I can't keep doing this anymore. This is what I've acknowledged or seen in myself. I've wanted to share this with you, but I hadn't been able to, like the text message you shared with me on what you shared with him. Beautiful.
Because I was afraid.
You were afraid. Exactly.
Yep.
You even shared that with him. It was amazing. And there was an expectation attached that he would stop drinking and pick you from speaking your truth. Yes?
And that didn't happen. Yes. So that didn't happen.
So are you aware of and acknowledging that, yeah, there was that expectation, whether it was conscious or not? Most of the time,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I thought I was with no expectation, but then again, now that you're saying it, I guess, yeah. Okay.
And here we are. There was most of the time expectations, which is another reason why they're hard to not have, is they're unconscious. You don't consciously go into it thinking like, yeah, here's the expectation. It's more of an unconscious thing. And a great way to know that you had the expectation is if you have disappointment when something doesn't change or isn't followed through with.
Yeah, and I did have that when he did it again.
Exactly. And then it takes you down the whole path of like, see, he didn't listen, or he's not choosing me, and then it triggers all the stuff of like, I'm worthless, or I'm not good enough, or all of that, right?
Oh, yep. Oh my God.
Okay. So this time, yes, you should acknowledge to him that you did leave and why you had left back then. How does that land hearing that?
I could do that. Yeah. That would feel better to say that.
Yes. Do you feel that?
Yeah, but I didn't know that because when I went back, like going back now, thinking back, I was never thinking back. I don't know what made me think back the one day. Let me go back to the beginning. And that's when this happened.
Exactly. Oh, so good. Remember when we were talking about playing the victim and you were like, I want to take my power back? This good feeling you're feeling right now is you taking your power back. By you acknowledging and taking ownership of, yes, what you did. That's taking your power back. It's not necessarily like, well, he doesn't hear me, he didn't choose me, so I'm going to leave. Let's let him see that. Because oftentimes that can be how we handle things. It's like, well, I guess I have to leave in order to feel powerful again. No, not necessarily. It's more so about finding the truth first and then acknowledging that truth, allowing the emotions to be there, expressing those emotions, and then speaking it with the person that it needs to be spoken with. That's how you're going to reclaim your power back. And you're already starting to feel that by feeling good.
And then say, could we work on moving forward?
Okay, good. So let's talk about how the conversation would look. Great question. So yes, first you would want to share with him, like, either we had this conversation or you've been processing this and you realized something. Two things, because you've had two big realizations. One is that you shared that big speaking truth with him so that he would hear you and choose you because you want to be chosen over the alcohol. And you had an expectation that he was going to do that. and he didn't. And so it led to disappointment and made you feel like you could even share, makes me feel like a victim, or, it just perpetuates the disappointment and how sad it makes me feel that my own husband isn't choosing me. But that's one realization, and that's on me. The second realization is that you want to acknowledge that you had left him. And don't go into the excuses. I felt like I had to leave you because you were drinking and I didn't want to be around that and it didn't feel good, or I never felt heard, or you were busy drinking. It's just the acknowledgement. It could look
I
like
won't get time to say all that. I'll just say that I acknowledge that I did leave you
yeah.
a long time ago.
And if
but
you
I'm still here.
Yes, I acknowledge that I left you, and not even that I'm still here. Because in his mind, yeah, you're physically there, but you already left. And we don't know what's there for him. He could have some like major pain around being abandoned, and that's what sends him to drink in the first place. So if he saw you leave, even though you left for a reason, it doesn't matter. He saw you leave. It may have triggered some kind of traumatic wound for him. And how does he cope? Alcohol. And then that pushed you further because you're like, well, see, he keeps drinking, so I'm just going to keep leaving. So it perpetuates all this pain. Anyhow, does that make sense? Like, we don't know what could have been there for him. So it's more so of like just the simple acknowledgement, I did leave. And now I am deciding to stay.
Pick him.
I am picking you. Exactly. I pick you. I decide you. How does that?
Yeah, good. That feels good to say that.
Okay.
Okay. I will do it. I will do that.
Good. Yeah, deep, take a breath.
Yeah, God.
How are you feeling?
Well, better.
Now,
like a weight was lifted.
yes, I see that. You look lighter. We don't know what's going to come after that, Lisa. That's that part of trusting in God and you continuing to do your healing work. It might be something that as an add-on to the conversation after you've acknowledged that, you just stop talking. Let him like process that for a moment. And here's where like not to take away what you've just said, you have to give it time to process. So it could be something where he immediately responds with, maybe some kind of an emotion. Like maybe he gets emotional about it. Or maybe he's like in shock and doesn't know what to say.
Yeah, he'll just not say anything. He won't know what to say.
Okay. So
that's what I think he's going to do.
Okay. So at that point, you might just, I know that you like to process things. So I just, acknowledge something pretty big for both of us. So I'm going to give you some time to really process that. Hold on a second. Let me ask you this. We all have fear responses, right? Fight, flee, or freeze are the three main fear responses. And we tend to use those fear responses when we go into a state of shock or have some kind of hijack, which is an intense emotional experience. And the intense emotional experience could happen both positively or negatively. Sometimes the positive experience is that shock, or it's intense because it's like, I never expected you to say that. And now I'm like overwhelmed with you choosing me and feeling so loved. I have no idea how to process that. It could be that. Or it could be on the negative side where it's like, oh, I need to self-protect. So fight, flee, or freeze. Do you know which one he does? Because we can do all three, but there's one that we feel the safest in? Is he a
What
fighter? Is he a freezer? Or is he a fleer?
he says, there's no talking to you. I kid, there's no talking to you, and he ends it.
Okay, so
Like
he's a fleer.
fleer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody who's like, nope, I'm not going to talk about it. Can't talk to you. Like, done. I'm just going to go deal with myself and my
Yep.
thing. Like,
Yeah. He
okay.
says, there's no talking to you, and then
Okay.
that's it.
So that's a fleer. How about you, by the way?
I'm more of a fighter, I think.
Yeah.
I want to keep it
Okay.
going.
Yep. I'll talk about that in a second here. For him, fleers need space. When you don't give a fleer space, it freaks them out more and it causes them to shut down more. So even saying the word space can help them feel really good of like, oh, or nurtured, or like you're choosing them and know how to help make them feel safe, so to speak. So if you know that he may flee, because that's going to be his natural knee-jerk reaction, even though you're sharing something very beautiful with him, you could say something like, I know that you might need some space to process this. Like, actually use the word. It feels good to them.
Yeah.
To process this. So how about go ahead and take some space and let's talk about this later tonight.
When we calm down or at another time.
Exactly. And by space, we're not talking about like hours and hours and hours or days and days and days. We're talking like short period of time. It could be a few hours, it could be an evening, or it could be to the next morning. Don't let it go longer than a day.
Yeah. Okay.
So give him some space to process and then re-pick up the conversation. Like, have you thought about what I shared with you and what I acknowledged? What's come up for you around what I shared? And it's actually better now that I say that to ask open-ended question rather than a closed-ended question. So have you thought about what I shared with you? That's actually closed-ended. So don't use that one because that's not, he could say yes or he could say no.
Yeah.
We don't want that. But if you ask, what have you thought about what I shared with you?
Yeah. Put a question on him. I've been trying to do that. Sometimes I don't know how to get that question out,
Yeah. So there's your question. What have you thought about with what I shared with you? That way he has to come up with something. If he says, I don't know, that's not a response. You could just acknowledge like, okay, I get that, but take a guess. Like something. When someone's saying they don't know, they don't want to have the wrong answer. That's typically or they don't want to deal with it. But this is something he's going to have to deal with. It's not something like you guys can continue to just walk, like blindly walking through. So just give him the space of like, it's all right. Take a guess. What are some things that maybe you've been thinking about?
Okay.
Based on what he shares, it's going to be really important for you, Lisa, to just stay very grounded in you not going into fight mode. Because if he says something that hijacks or triggers you, that's when you're going to have to stop, take a deep breath, the SOS. Stop, take a deep breath, oxygenate, and seek information. Ask yourself, how is me fighting going to help the situation? Well, it's not. Or what is me berating him with questions and wanting to fight through it and keep talking about it? What is that going to really do for me?
That's what I do.
Yeah. Nothing in the long run. Okay. So just now, because your natural reaction is to kind of fight and like, tell me more, that doesn't, it's really more important, Lisa, for you to identify what does choosing him look like? What does deciding to stay in the marriage and choose him and not leave him anymore look like? What does that look like for
You're
you? Uh-huh.
trying to just not let everything bother me like it's been bothering me, and maybe sit and try to talk to him more, but he's so tough to talk to. Like, I told him this morning, he talks to everybody but me. Like, so I'm trying to give him hints, to what he's not doing. What I would like him to do is talk to me.
Yep.
I'm trying to throw him little hints, even though, like, I don't know if he's getting it.
Is he doing it?
Well, I told him that this morning. He talks to this one person on the phone all the time. I said, you talk nicer to him than you do to me. And, like, so we'll see when I get home tonight.
All right. A couple of things with that. One is that throwing hints doesn't work. Most of the time, they don't work. Um, yeah, for many reasons, which I don't want to get into right now. So let me just blatantly say they don't work. You have to be very bold in your communication. You want him to talk to you, but you have to talk to him, not talk at
him.
Talk to him. And throwing hints is more talking at him. Almost, it's a little bit manipulative in a way of like, let me throw these things out there in hopes that he'll get it. And instead of just like, you know what? No, that's why am I playing that game? Let me just tell him. Okay. So no more hint throwing out there because then
Okay.
you're not genuinely communicating. It's a little bit of a way of still leaving him. So that is one way that it looks to decide to be with him is to not throw hints and just communicate what it is that you're thinking, feeling, wanting. So a way that you could do that is something like, I love the way that you talk to so and so. That person you're talking about, that he talks to for a long time. I love the way that you talk to him. I want us to be able to talk that way too.
Yeah, that sounds better.
But it's a two-way thing. And honestly, in a relationship, someone has to start it. Someone has to be the one that, for a lack of a better way, is picking up the charge. Does that make sense? Like that.
Yeah.
And because you have this work that you're doing on yourself and a knowledge and a wisdom that maybe he doesn't have quite yet, it's going to be you. You're going to be the one to pick it up. And so start conversations with him. Another way this looks is don't run away, even if he is drinking. That you could, because I choose you and I'm here and I'm creating my own happiness through my relationship with God and myself and these healthy ways that I'm communicating with you now. I'm just going to be here, even though it's challenging at the moment to be around because he's drinking. Like it's something that you have the power then in those moments instead of getting disappointed and upset and making it about, well, he didn't choose me. He keeps choosing the alcohol. It's not that he's not choosing you. He's not choosing himself.
That makes sense.
How can he choose you if he hasn't chosen himself? But it sounds like no one has. And maybe that's part of his big traumas in life. And again, we don't know, but based on what you're sharing with me, it feels like that. And so why not you be the first person who does?
Okay, and that's why I'm doing all this, because I decided I wanted to. Yeah, so I will.
Exactly. Good. Okay, so let's take a moment here to recap. So what are you going to be doing? What's your homework, so to say, so to speak?
I'm going to try to communicate with them more. and I want to tell him that I'm going to choose him. And I know I left, but I'm choosing him, and I hope you choose me. Right? And if he does drink, just sit there with him and talk to him and not say that it's okay, but just, until the next day.
Yeah.
And if I tell him all this, give him space because he's a fleer.
Yep.
And then see where we go from there.
Okay, good. There was just a few little tweaks in there. Do you mind if we address that real quick before we finish up?
Oh, okay. No, that's okay.
You said if I tell him this.
No, I will tell him this.
Okay, good. I was like, wait, okay. You're saying if? And then you said
I will.
You're going to try and communicate. And I totally get the reason why you're using the word try, but are you going to try to communicate or are you going to communicate?
I'm going to communicate. I will communicate.
Very good. And where do you start? What's the first part you start with? That
I choose you.
Yeah. And I left. That's the first part.
I did leave. I did leave.
That acknowledgement is the first thing.
Acknowledge that. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. That definitely makes sense. And I think that will definitely make it will hit home.
Yes, exactly. That one would be great when he isn't drinking. That communication in the morning, like first thing.
That's the time I have to do it in the morning.
Yeah, perfect. First thing in the morning. And then you're saying the whole, I'm going to take space and let's pick this up tonight when you're home. So I know at that point, maybe he might be drinking, but that's okay. You're going to keep communicating and choosing him.
Yeah, the thing is, he doesn't have any more now. He only went and got it once, and he doesn't have it because he doesn't have any way to get it.
Okay.
But if he's finding a way, so I have time now that he's not until I don't know when. I mean, it was just that 1 or 2 times.
Okay, good. Good.
So
this is a good thing because that means that the timing of it was created perfectly for you to be able to have this conversation with him, Lisa.
Now, is this bad? Like, I hope he would drink and have another seizure. Then he would go to the hospital and they take his license for another year. And then he definitely wouldn't be able to. Like, let him like,
bad? Yeah.
Dig the hole. Let him dig the hole. Like, let him do it. Because is that bad to think that?
You tell me.
Well, it is bad, but
listen, the other thing too is that everything that we talked about, even though he was included in it, it's not about him. It's about you taking your power back. And so that you're no longer the victim to alcohol. Like no, God designed you as this beautiful, powerful being made in his image. You are not the victim to this villain.
Because my father drinks too, so I'm a victim for his actions too. All right, so that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you feeling?
Better. Better. Like I needed this, and I really do think it clarified some things.
Awesome.
I needed that next step.
Beautiful.
And this program is wonderful. Like your whole, it is great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know you have grown so much since I first met you. It's incredible. It's been amazing to watch.
Well, it's not like an easy thing. You got to keep doing it every day, and I do it.
Healing is not. Healing is not the magic.
So if you think it's going to happen overnight, it's not.
Yep. So it's not the magic pill, but it's the long-term result.
Yep. I'm here for the long term, so I'm growing.
Okay, please, in our audience here, give Lisa some love because it is challenging to be here and be vulnerable. And thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if this is going to work. Sometimes the hearts come out.
It does. It works perfect. Love you. Thank you. And give her some love too. Oh my goodness. This was beautiful. I appreciate you. If you need anything else, please let me know. But I'm excited to hear how things evolve after this conversation with him. And your level of happiness is going to shift at home too.
Great. Thank you so much, Alejandra.
You're so welcome. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Decide to Heal. If you found this valuable and maybe there's someone in your life that's struggling with things that are similar to what Lisa's been going through, please share this with them and remember to like and review. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.